Hi, everybody. Welcome to Let's Play Everyday. Tim McNiff, along with Andy Greder and America's Everyday Comedian, C. Willi Myles. We are expecting that Greg Coleman, G2, is going to join us shortly, but we're talking about too many important things. I've got this big script which I prepared for today, and Andy, you walked in on this conversation. I'll tell you how we got here. I was asking Willi, do you have Shazam? Because I just freaking love Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, how do you use your Shazam?
I used it last night. My wife was working late, and I heard something. I was reading in bed, and she was listening to something. So I was like, "What is that?" And it was a couple rooms over, so I wasn't able to pick it up. But I use it all the time for music that either I've heard and don't remember what it is, or brand new stuff. And then it's great because I use Spotify. So then can be a playlist in Spotify to then go and listen to the new songs. So it kind of uploads there as well. So you can kind of use it off multiple apps.
I can't tell you how many times I've did Shazam and then right away there's an iTunes button and you flip it and just download that song right now. That's what I do. And sometimes I'll go and I'll click and read about where the song came from. You know, it's all that history in there about it. So I click on that. Sometimes but it's great. Sometimes I'm in a car and I hear a song and it's not on the, I don't know what I'm listening to. So I'll just click my phone and.
But not when you're driving, of course.
Oh yeah, especially when I'm driving. But anyway, and I'm in these back roads, man. I need music.
Oh right.
Yeah, but no, it's weird, but I love it, and the thing is in Spotify, not Spotify, but in Shazam, every song you look up, it stays in there for a while, so you can go back. And look at all the songs that you go, oh yeah, that's the one I wanted to download. I found this, I can't remember what song it is. I have it now. It's called Down by it's an old song by Ben E. King. And I found it and it was playing and I clicked on it and I was like, I think the original person that sang this song, then I went and looked it up and it was him and then I downloaded it.
Back when we used to have access to locker rooms and teams would have songs on and the kids were playing something that I didn't know what it was, I'd have to Shazam it to find out what it was, if I was looking to add some color to the story, if they were singing it. And then I feel like the old guy that's not up with the kids' music.
It's amazing with technology, man, isn't it? Because remember back in the day, you heard a song and you couldn't remember it. You just couldn't remember. That was it. There was nowhere to go. You didn't know where to look it up because, number one, you didn't know the name of the song. You didn't know who was singing it.
Yeah,
you just knew the hum. And then you come to somebody and go, hey, man, who sang this song? I was doomed, but the things somebody me. And they'd be like, well, who? I don't know.
Yeah.
The only person who knew was a DJ.
Willi, when you moved here, you came here in what year?
77.
See, you're right. I mean, radio in the Twin Cities in the early 70s was what I would say my recollection was really cool in the sense that you would hear diversity. You would go from the Jackson 5 and then you would get Deep Purple and then you would get Leonard Skinner and then you would get, whatever. And you heard all these, and then when FM came and it kind of became, well, this is your, white music and this is and you didn't have that crossover anymore. And that was something was definitely lost there. Morning, G2. Good to have you.
And I just want to say that. Man.
Oh yeah, well, but no, you're giving me no. Yippee skippy. I just wanted to take a life when I heard him say that every morning. But so they used to do this thing. They simulcast a show that was broadcast and they put it on one of the radio stations, probably KQ, but may have been something else. Right. But it was 10:30 on Sunday nights, and I remember vividly being at a party, and I didn't want to leave the party, but I like ran home, started the cassette tape to record that show on the simulcast, went back to the party, came back on later, and what they had a live version of the Clash's "Train in Vain." And it was faster and harder because there was a live version than the original release. And it just slapped. It was such a great song. And I had it on this cassette and I would go to like college parties and leave it up to like a certain time of night. I would go, hey, put this on. And everybody loved it, right? And it became like this hit thing I would do at these parties. Then, of course, one party I'm standing there. I give it to the guy that's going, I got my beer in hand. I was near. and that was the end of the tape, because that's what happened with cassette tapes.
You got that right.
And
That's
I have
hilarious.
never, ever been able to find that version of that song again. I've gone on YouTube. I've gone on everything. I can't find it. I found different versions of it, but I can't find that. So
Did it get you girls in college though?
I used every means available. I did, Andy. I mean, there was nothing I would not try, but I was greatly unsuccessful in all endeavors.
Hilarious. That's hilarious. I use every means possible.
By any means necessary. So, Greg, what have you walked into? Well, we started talking about Shazam and sending Willie some songs and stuff because I just heard some things, and I'm trying to get him onto car seat headrest, but it's not happening for him.
Ain't happening. The name kills me. Car seat headrest.
Oh yeah,
that's a band.
Fill in the blank.
Apparently,
fill in the blank.
The song is called "Fill in the Blank."
Well, they've got a number of them. They've got bigger hits than that, but that's my song. I like. I mean, that's my favorite that I've got from them. And usually that gets you, or gives you a window into the diversity of kind of music, different music that I like. But Willie's not giving me the thumbs up on that one.
The statement that was made when that song was played is that Tim was going through some things.
But you guys know me. That's entirely possible.
That was a statement made in our house when we heard that song. That's a song. That's one of those, you know what I'm talking about, Greg? Lenny Williams,
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know you're in it. It was like I look back, I was like, oh my God, I had a Kid Cudi phase. And then I'm like, oh, I wasn't doing well.
Somebody should have said something to me and they just let me walk around.
Yeah, they just, I was like, late at night, I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, I had some other stuff going on. There's some deep tracks. So I can't judge too hard on car seat headrest. Hell, even some of my fans. You like Greg Coleman? You must be in a phase.
Right. You're in a phase. You're going through some things.
He's going through some things.
Well, I know I'm going to lose Andy hard out at. I've got you at 10 o'clock, right, Andy?
Oh man,
I know. Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So I made up this thing here, and I've got this full all these things, but we don't have to go real deep on this stuff because there are some talkers that I really want to get to. The Wild won again last night, 4-1. Should they beat the Flyers? Yes. Did they beat the Flyers? Yes. They've won 7 in a row. They've got one more game at home in this 9-game homestand. Kaprizov. I just wanted to say he did have a goal. He had a second one called off that would have tied the record for most points in a season. He's obviously going to get it and break it. He is absolutely everything that we were hoping he was going to be when they signed him, when we waited 3 years, whatever, for him to come here. And just in year 2, and they were smart to extend him. He is special. So they are off tonight. They play tomorrow night. The Wolves are back in action tonight. They got the Raptors in Toronto. The Raptors are 9-2 in their last 11. We got beat by 16. Make that 12 back on February 16th when they didn't have Fred VanVleet, who's their best guard, and Gary Trent Jr., who was from Apple Valley, lit us up that night. So tough task for the Timberwolves tonight. So let's go on to the NFL. We all watched that game between Buffalo and Kansas City, and it was epic. And then they had the coin toss, and Kansas City wins the toss, and they go down, they score a touchdown, the game's over, and everybody went, wow, that isn't the way that game should have ended. Well, they're not going to end that way anymore. NFL owners approved a new overtime rule. They voted 29-3 in favor of a proposal that was brought forward by the Colts and the Eagles. The Vikings were one of the 3 teams that voted against it. Not that they were against overtime, but the Vikings said it should be a full 15-minute period because that way the coin toss isn't as heavy weighted as this is. Now both teams will get the football no matter who scores, but there's already people saying still means if you win the toss, you take defense. If you can hold the other team to a field goal and score a touchdown, you win the game. Right. So did they do the right thing? Is this far enough? Where are we with overtime in the NFL?
I think it's stupid. Leave it the way it was. How many times?
Leave it the way it was. We're just one team. So you score first, the other team loses.
Yeah, that's it. Because listen to me.
Okay.
How many times do we say defense wins games? Defense wins championships. Well, you had an opportunity to stop them, and you didn't. Period. That's it. It's over. So now what happens? They score a touchdown and the next one score a touchdown. Then where do we go from there? Then they go into another overtime where it's like, okay, the first team scored that wins. You back to where you were. The other team don't get the ball again. And they just keep going and going. The games are already timeouts and too long anyway. I liked it the way it was. I don't care if the other team doesn't get the ball. I really don't. It doesn't matter. If you got your defense is out there and everybody preaches that defense wins championship, then prove it. Go out there and play, but don't have me sitting around all day watching you march up and down the field kicking field goals, until the clock runs out. Now you got to play sudden death. Who the first team score wins. That's how it's going to work out. Period.
Can you do me a favor, Willie? Can you just run to the door, open the door, and just yell, "Get off my lawn!" really quick, and just go do that?
I'm that guy, Tim. I'm that guy. You know what I mean?
What I don't understand about it is why not do – I'm in favor of this rule. I think that there needs to be opportunities for both teams in the playoffs. But why not do it for the whole season? Why do it for just the meaningful games in the playoffs? And it sounded like it wouldn't have passed if they did it for the regular season. Well, why not? Why not just do it for the whole season? Why make this rule change only for the playoffs? That doesn't quite make sense to me. I think what's at danger is turning playoff games, overtime games into something that resembles college football, which can get completely unwieldy and have 70, 71 games with 7 overtimes if that's where things go. And that's what you want to avoid at all costs, because it just changes the entire dynamic of what a football game should be.
G.
Petty.
I don't care.
Next subject.
I don't care. I mean, like, just leave it how it was, because I feel like we just finally got used to that format. I'm thinking the reason probably why they just want to make it the implementation on the playoffs is because they have more control over that. And it's probably going to, somehow cut in revenue. If we start seeing all these overtimes happen in regular season, then they're going to have to make the decision. Do we stay with it? Do we cut on over to the other broadcasts? All that stuff. Exactly. I just feel like they're just doing a lot to try to stay relevant and try to talk about, moving the game a little bit faster, and trying to make it fair. But I mean, I feel like there's a whole lot of other things that could take precedent in the NFL, which I feel like they should focus on first, more so than just these playoff overtime. I mean, because hell, we all love those games last playoffs, except for the teams who didn't get the opportunity, but we all got it. Right. We all understood it. And I don't like two different rules of thumb in the same, calendar season. Feels like they're trying to move the field goal, where it's just like, yo, man, you pick something and just roll with it. Let that be the case.
Yeah, I left that game that Kansas City and Buffalo. I think a lot of America just going, yeah, something's got to change. That's not right. Buffalo deserved at least one chance to have the ball. Willie, you make a good case for it.
Buffalo had a shot and they ruined it with 3 minutes left in regulation.
Exactly. They sure did. Now, I'm just saying. I mean, people say defense wins championship. How many times you've heard that?
Yeah.
Defense wins championship.
Defense wins.
Win championship. So get your defense out there, stop them, get the ball back, score. Because if you got a high potent offense and they're going to march down there and score on you, game over. That's on you. You as a defensive coordinator, head coach, you got to be prepared for that. And don't let it get to that. But like I said, what happens? Like, okay, now how does this work? You're in overtime. Team scores a touchdown. Then the next team comes down, scores a touchdown. Then we just keep playing.
Do it again. Yeah.
You do it again until some team don't score. And you know how that works. The next team kicks a field goal. Then the next team kicks a field goal. Now, do you like Andy said? Do you switch to the other game? Are you still selling? Commercials to keep this game on? Now that's just money going out the window at this point, because everybody knows you sell advertising around the game. You ain't got no commercials to cut to because you done sold out. Do you go switch to the other and leave these people hanging? Leave you hanging watching? Because your team ain't going to be on TV no more because they switched to another game. So
Well,
now
if it
you
goes
got
3, 4, 5, 6 overtimes, they'll fit in commercials between every single one.
But I'm
Don't
just
worry
saying,
about that.
but I mean,
They'll get
but
their
how?
money that way.
Well, but how you get the other game in that starts at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't get that nationally televised game that they was promised. So that's where the money is too. So I'm just saying, it's just, to me, that's why they're doing during the playoff. It's just stupid. But the regular season, people are gonna have the same complaint. Like, why can't we get this? We should have had an opportunity for this ball. You know, it's like, quit whining. You lost, move on with your life.
Be better.
That's
All right,
not
you
how
won me
football
over,
works.
Will. Andy wrote an interesting couple nuggets about the Gopher football team there in spring practice.
Hey,
What I wanted specifically, Andy, was PJ Fleck to say it was my fault, the loss at Iowa. That's what I was looking for, just that with the period and that.
Mhm.
So if
Full
you can
stop.
get that for me, that's just
Yeah.
one to put away in your back pocket. But
Mhm.
they're
Don't-
readjusting the
don't ask
offense
that
to come
question.
back, but he sounds pretty optimistic about this team. There are some publications that are already picking the Gophers as sort of dark horses for the national championship, and I'm like, I would settle for a Big Ten West championship. That would help to play in that game one time, but also that the tailbacks sound like they might be ready to go this fall. Can you update us on that?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Trey Potts, who was hospitalized for a week, is going to be limited. It was back in October when he had a very scary, weird situation at their win at Purdue. He was hospitalized in Indiana for a week. He's been working out with the team. Doesn't sound like he's anywhere close to being cleared to play. It sounds like they're going to have to make a decision on that going forward. He came back for the season, and he's optimistic. We'll see if the medical staff backs up his optimism. Mohamed Ibrahim is practicing here after tearing his Achilles in the Ohio State loss in September. He's going to not practice after this week because he's Muslim and he's going to observe Ramadan. So he's going to be out for the rest of spring ball. And then fall camp will be the opportunity for him to get contact. So it's going to be very much a wait and see with both of their tailbacks. You know, Kai Thomas, their leading rusher last year, transferred to Kansas. Marquise Bucky Irving, who was the true freshman, who was kind of the spark out of the backfield. He's now the number one. Zach Evans, their true freshman from Texas, who they're really high on. He's all of a sudden a number two in spring ball. So yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. If you're Kai Thomas, I said it at the time, you know, it's odd that he would transfer knowing that the guys that are supposedly ahead of him are coming back from pretty serious injuries, and we're not quite sure if they're going to play or what kind of player they're going to be once they get back. So what was a very deep position is not as deep as it was last year. As far as overall prognosis for the team, I mean, they lose 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen, 6 out of their top 8 defensive linemen. So any place that this team goes, it's got to be, you know, revamped on both lines. And I think that's probably the biggest question mark about this team.
PJ sounds pretty optimistic about both areas. I'm just going to stay with Andy one more time because I've been asking you to kind of fill us in on the United. But the big story today is we might actually be back on the world stage, at least where the men are concerned.
Yeah, the final World Cup qualifier for the U.S. men's national team is tonight at Costa Rica. If they don't collapse and lose by more than 6 goals, they'll be going back to the World Cup after failing to qualify for Russia in 2018. So it's an achievement with a super young team in a very advantageous spot after a 5-1 win in Orlando against Panama on Sunday. People are feeling good about where this program is, just given the youthful talent that they have, and if they're able to take care of business, they'll be able to just have an opportunity to play in the World Cup, like I said, in Qatar in November and December.
And no more February games in Minneapolis or St. Paul, hopefully.
No, not for the foreseeable future. No.
I thought that was a typo, Tim, when you say that they lose by six goals or less. I'm like, holy crap! How bad is this team?
What's interesting about that is if you just forfeit the game, it goes on the record book as a 3-0 loss. So they could forfeit the game and still outright qualify for the World Cup, which is weird, which you won't see happen, but just a weird quirk. Given the tiebreakers with goal differential.
Okay, if I think they could beat you by 6 or more goals.
Yeah, if you
deserve
beat by
to
6
go to the World Cup.
six or more, you deserve the World Cup.
We're not playing. We'll take the 3-0 loss.
So we're a couple weeks away from the Masters, and that's one of those events where I try to do anything and everything I can. First thing I look is that Easter Sunday? Because I want to know if I'm going to have that annual conversation where I am watching the Masters on Sunday. I'll give you up until the coverage starts, whatever it is, whatever afterwards, but I'm watching the Masters. But do we have a little bit more on it this year? Because there was a tiger sighting out at Augusta National yesterday. Eldrick was out there in the course trying to, I guess the way people who were closer to him said, to play it yesterday, to see where his game was, but then to see how he feels today. So he wasn't going to say anything about it. There were some still pictures taken. His playing partner was Charlie, and we all got a load of Charlie playing with his dad last year. I want to see how Charlie hit it at Augusta National, right? I mean, that's amazing. But I just can't say for someone who was like sort of, God, do I want him to break Jack's record because I was such a Jack fan growing up? And then when Tiger came, I was so disappointed in the rest of the field. He had them so buried under his "I'm Tiger" that he did what he did. And now I'm like, oh my God, Tiger might be back, on one leg or a repaired leg or whatever it is. Man, I hope he's there.
Yeah, I do too, man. I think golf wise, I think he's good for the game. Now, I think that it makes it more exciting. The guys who are there now don't understand how to carry the load of what.
Stop!
You okay, Andy? I think we had a dog situation.
Right.
Go on, please.
Anyway, I love the fact that the way they talk about him is that he may or may not be there, but I think he's going to be there. And I hope so, because I think at the end of the day, Tiger Woods is as much as what's happening over the last few weeks with Phil Mickelson. Golf needs Tiger Woods to come back, because the guys that are our number one golfer in the world and all these other golf, they're not doing, you know what I mean? They're not. The PGA understands that. They know what they need. Exactly. And they're not doing the things that they need. They don't have this persona that Phil or Tiger has, and Phil's somehow just
Phil didn't even have the persona that Tiger had.
Yeah, but Phil was
you don't get many Tigers.
Yeah. But at least he was out there doing things outside of golf, and these guys aren't. You don't see them. You don't see their worth outside of golf. You just see them golf, and then they're with their buddies and on the boats and doing all these other things, and not having no real presence outside of golf and promoting the game with these foundations and all these different other type of things. I think they are, but they're very quiet and low key. And I think the PGA needs a little bit more of that. And Tiger just brings people to the TV. Whether you he's like Ali. Love him or hate him, they just want you to watch him. Either you want him to succeed or you want him to watch him fail. But Tiger Woods don't fail. He just don't. He goes out and he plays his heart out. Whether he wins or loses is irrelevant. That guy just puts it all on the line, and that's what I love about it. I hope he plays in the Masters.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Tiger is definitely he just draws. He's a real draw. Kind of like the last of those 90s superstars that we loved, with Mike, with that tenacity of Kobe. Even just watching him, at the Hall of Fame, just seeing him open up a little bit more than he has, I just feel like it draws more interest. And of course, it's the Masters, and I feel like the Masters and Tiger, they're intertwined at this point. Whether any other tournament, we want to see Tiger at the Masters, because I feel like we have so many memories ingrained in our head of Tiger on that red shirt Sunday, pumping the fist, making a shot from 260 out and putting it 3 feet by the cup. I just kind of feel like that's, I don't say he owes it to us, but it's like, yeah, what I mean? Like, it's like cornbread without the honey. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you want honey on your cornbread, and Tiger's definitely either the honey or the cornbread. He's the most important part. And I really feel like, the Masters in golf really can't move on yet until they
Right.
fully acknowledge Tiger's contributions to the game, to the culture of golf. Like it's just Tiger can play one tournament in a year, and we want it to be in Augusta. So yeah, like like just a practice round has gotten this much attention. It
Mm-hmm.
will he play, will he won't play, and there's other guys who are confirmed. Yeah, we're playing. We don't care. We're not talking about them,
Yeah.
but we're talking about Tiger playing a practice round with his son and building up that anticipation. Like, just say like, yeah, man, we want it. We don't care if you make it till Sunday. We want you to, but we want to see you try. And I just kind of feel like Tiger knows how to put on that show. Whether he
Right.
does well, whether he falls apart. Like that's the only person we love watch him fall apart. And still, I kind of feel like at this point, it's not the heinous falling apart of Tiger. It's like, man, he
Mm-hmm.
tried. He's given everything that he can. And, we're just happy to witness and watch. And I kind of feel like, that's the one thing Tiger has is, over everybody else, we're just
Right.
enjoying watching him.
Exactly. And I don't think he's going to come back unless he's ready. I mean, like you said, he played. He wants to see how he feels today. You know what I mean? Because the Augusta is a very hilly, very hard golf course to walk. And those greens those fairways are very well manicured. They're soft. And if you walked 18 holes, you don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like he doesn't have to carry his bag, but walking 18 holes is quite, and that's a long golf course, and he won't be able to have a cart like he did in the other tournament he played in.
Right.
He'll have to walk. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and I think he will. And I think the announcers, I think everybody wants him to play because they want other stuff to talk about other than these, like you said, boring guys who just out here they don't understand what it's like to carry that mantle. There's nobody out there right now I think is strong enough to carry that mantle like he has, and he hasn't since he left. Everybody who they thought was going to be the up and coming is not up and coming anymore. I mean, they won their few championships and they got good contracts, and now they're just coasting, just trying not to lose that money.
Or that it's that game. I mean, Willie, you played a lot better than I do, but man, I've seen pro athletes struggle with that game, and it's like watching a Jordan Spieth come into it and be as good as he was those first couple trips around the Masters, and to watch him struggle to try to get it back, to find it again. Rory McIlroy was supposed to take over, right? And Rory can't do it, and so yeah, you're right. We haven't seen anyone, but I mean, Tiger and Jack and Arnie, I mean, they were just different. I mean, they were just they were just different. And Tiger's body's been remade so many times because he swang so violently, his back, his legs, his all those other things, and now he has the car accident and all the rest of it. So I'm actually encouraged by the fact that if he even doesn't make it for Augusta, I still think we'll probably see him at the U.S. Open. I think we'll see him at some of these things where he's going to chase the majors, and he should. He still wants the record. Go get it. If you can go get it, I think everyone's pulling for him.
He's into every single one. He'll be able to play in them until he wants to not play in them because he qualified for them. I don't know. Once you win them, you're just in them, And who ain't going to give him an exemption?
Yeah,
because there are people that are paid to have him play in them. You know what I mean? But I think you're right, Tim. He'll chase the majors, and I think he should. He really should. And I think that if he only plays in 10 tournaments a year, just tune up ones just to get ready for those majors. Let's do it and let's win them and move on.
Well, he's got all that down in Florida, right? He's playing and practicing all the time. We just don't see it,
Exactly.
And so yeah, he's got that.
And he trains.
He trains
like he does. And I mean, like I say that, and what I was saying before is like a lot of these guys today, they do the workout stuff and stuff, but they don't understand the commitment, what you have to do to win all the time. Like Tiger Woods was a machine. That dude, he slept, he ate, he breathed training, he breathed golf, and people just don't. You can't do that these days, and these guys don't. But he was a nutritionist. he was all this stuff long before these guys knew what that was all about. You know what I mean?
And it's going to be real interesting to see what happens with Charlie. I mean, does he need to send him off to college? Does the kid play high school golf, whatever like that? I mean, the stuff he's already doing. We saw him this was this spring or last fall when they played that tournament together. He could probably play on the tour right now, So how does Tiger choose to and Elin? How do they choose to? What does that look like? How do they bring him along, and where does he start? And does how hard does he push or drive, knowing that the guy who's going to be telling him how to do it pushed and drove harder than anybody else?
Yeah. I think his dad looks at him. Well, for one, I don't think kid needs to have to worry about going to first tee. I mean, he's past that. Guys, he's already Q qualified as far as I'm concerned. But I think looking at his dad, and I think it'll be easier for him coming up because I don't think Tiger would be like his dad was toward him. You know what I mean? I think Charlie, he already mimics his dad. So he gets it. He saw his dad, but he saw his dad at his highest and at his lowest, and that's a good thing. So he know his dad's not perfect. He know he's not inflatable, and but he looks at he's seen that as a kid, and he wasn't too young not to know what that meant. So he knows that he doesn't have to be perfect, but he needs to work hard and be good, and he knows how to control his temper. I don't know, because he's seen his dad lose his cool on a thing, but Tiger is watching him walk around with that kid is impressive.
It is.
So I feel like there's a bit more protection and grace that Charlie would coming up playing now post 2022 than coming up in the 80s, in the 90s. And I don't think Tiger definitely Charlie already has some of that in him, a lot of that dog in him. And, there's definitely going to be more eyes on him. But I feel like Tiger's going to know how to bounce that a little bit better than his father did and let him have a little bit more of that, play life balance. And just being like, no, man, this is just you in the court. You're not playing for, an entire generation. You're not playing to get the respect of an entire race. Like Charlie's welcomed into the front door. There's not a single course out there that's not welcoming him. And, granted, the situation's a little bit different than when Tiger came, but either or, it's a different America. The country club culture is a lot different, hell, even 5 years ago than what Tiger's had to, overcome. So, that would be, he's like the Bronny of golf. Like, hey, man, what's going to happen? And you got to give it up to these kids for knowing, when the cameras are on and what things to do. And also choosing when to be a kid and when to choose to be a superstar's son. I think it would be very exciting. And just to get that piece of like a young Tiger, because we haven't seen it yet. We've been getting all these Tiger copycats. But, to see the swing, to see the golf flip, to swag. See, all the little intangibles about Tiger that we so loved and see it in somebody else, you're like, oh, yeah, those are some of the things that we loved about Tiger, too. So, yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, he's got the dog in him. Nobody asked for it. He just does it. He just does it. You can just see his reaction out there, and it's just like, oh my God, gives you chills. It's so much like his dad. And I'm not, trying to push him to do anything earlier, but I also can't see wasting the kid's time either. I mean, I can't saying, like some sort of restriction of, he can't be on the tour until, I don't even know if there is, a restriction, but I just think I'd let the kid, they'll chart his path. They'll know much better than me. I think if he wants to be on the tour, if that's his path and what he wants to do, I'm like, open the door, because like you say, his parents have seen the good, the bad. They know it all. They know about the pressure, the media, all the rest of it. And he does too. And so I just can't wait to see it. But in the meantime, hopefully we get to see Eldrick at the Masters this year. Right. That would be an unexpected bonus. I know that Willie has a show coming up on the Friday. How about you, G? You got anything working that we should know about?
I'll be out of town, so those one-nighters somewhere in Wisconsin.
New album coming out or anything?
Not yet. Just starting to pace it, man. I got some type of bug, so I'm sitting here sweating, cold, hot, sweatshirt 1 minute. So I'm just trying to
He
get
said, I
this
got
all
some kind
figured
of
out
bug.
before I got a full April, and I'm
Go
like,
get
oh my
yourself
God,
tested.
yeah,
Take care of yourself.
I'm about to.
Well, thank you for playing under the weather today. We certainly appreciate it. We hope that Andy's okay. Not sure what that was
Yeah.
all about, but
The
we hope
dogs
for
are okay.
nothing but the best. I think it was the dog thing. I hope it was the dog thing.
Like he
Yeah.
bit his computer in half. It just went dark.
Appreciate you, Willie, as always. This
All right,
is
brother.
Let's Play Every Day, the show we encourage you to get off the sideline, get in the game because, well, that's where the action is.